Hey guys, welcome back to Heat Check Sports channel. Today we're bringing you another fantasy football video, and today we're looking at the top 15 fantasy football tight ends entering the 2020 season. There is not a lot of talent in the tight end category for fantasy value compared to the running backs and receivers this season, but stay tuned for our list and see who we have in our top 15. So number 15, starting off, Jonnu Smith of the Tennessee Titans. I think Tannehill and Smith will have a decent connection this season. I think Tannehill is going to be looking out for Smith a little bit more and just relying on some of the weapons he has. And I think Tannehill himself is going to have a better season than he did last season for the Titans. So I expect Smith to be getting some targets, but in terms of fantasy value, I would not have him as a tight end one. Number 14, TJ Hockenson of the Detroit Lions. Looked really promising off the gate last season, but just the way he kind of finished out the season didn't have a whole lot of fantasy value. He was added in most leagues. I remember looking at it, it was 80-90% range, and then kind of just fell off and didn't produce a whole lot. But I expected him to do a little bit better in his sophomore campaign for the Lions. Number 13, Tyler Higbee of the Rams. Similar to some of my other videos, I'm just not big on the Rams this season with the talent that's in the NFC West as a whole. And I'm not big on Jared Goff in really looking for his weapons that he has and utilizing everyone to their max potential. I think Higbee's kind of going to fall into that swamp and get lost in translation. So I want to put him higher. I think he deserves better, but I have him at number 13 this season. Number 12, Hayden Hurst of the Falcons. The Falcons traded away Hooper. Was a big kind of letdown for their offense, but they got Hurst. So I expect Hurst to produce just as well as Hooper did in the tight end one spot for the Falcons. And I expect him to do all right for them. Number 11, Noah Fant. I know a lot more people are bigger on Fant this season than I am. I got him as a tight end number 2. My backup tight end in one of my leagues, so I'm pretty happy about that. But in terms of your starting tight end, I look for some of the better options on the market and try to draft a tight end earlier this season. Number 10, Mike Gesicki of the Dolphins. As a Dolphins fan, I want to put him higher, but with Fitzpatrick and Tua, and not really knowing the quarterback situation, what that's going to look like, and some of our rising stars in the receiving category, Gesicki I got in that number 10 slot. Number 9, I know some people have him in their top 5, but Rob Gronkowski, don't even know if he's going to fully play. There's a lot of uncertainty around his season this year, but if he does play, this is under the assumption that Gronkowski does play. I still will not put him higher than where he is right now, maybe 1 or 2 slots, but I like him at that number 9 slot just because of the talent on that Tampa Bay team. They got Godwin, Evans, and they just added Leonard Fournette. Tampa Bay's offense has a lot of talent already there. So Gronkowski might not get the looks that he normally did playing with Brady in their New England days together. Number 8, Austin Hooper for the Browns. Similar situation, just a lot of talent around him. If he was still with the Falcons, I would put him a little bit higher. But just because of the talent on that offense, I don't think Hooper's going to get as many looks as he really deserves, and they still have David Njoku. So I think Hooper's going to have an alright season for fantasy, but still look for some better options out there. Now we're entering the top 7. These are kind of where the next few are kind of the lower tier tight end ones I'd put them at in your league. Evan Ingram for the Giants. I think Daniel Jones is a good quarterback, and I think he's really going to get into a league of his own and really start to improve on himself this year and the next season. And number 6, Hunter Henry for the Chargers. First season without Phillip Rivers in years for the Chargers. So I think Henry's going to still produce well like he's been producing for the Chargers. And they're going to rely a lot more on their passing game this season. With Melvin Gordon out and Eckler being the workhorse in the backfield, I think Eckler's going to have a phenomenal season this year. But I think they're going to rely more on their passing game. and Henry's going to be one of the main targets for them. Number 5, Darren Waller of the Raiders. Waller produced well last season. Was a big surprise to a lot of people. People that drafted him in some of the later rounds last season got really lucky with their selection, and a lot of them ended up winning their leagues. So I think he's going to be consistent. I don't think he's going to blow you away like he did last season, but I don't think he's going to underperform either. Number 3 was a bit of a toss-up for me. I had Mark Andrews at 4 and Zach Ertz at number 3. This is based on if you are in a PPR league. If you're in PPR, I have Ertz at 3, so this is what this is going based off at. But if you're not in PPR, I put Andrews at 3. Ertz gets a lot of receptions in that mid-yard category, a lot of short receptions, kind of looking right off the bat, those slant routes, and Ertz does really well in that. Andrews is just a freaking tank, and he will plow through defenses to score some TDs. So this, based on your PPR, I have Ertz a little bit higher, but this is more of a personal preference. Number 2, this is going to be definitely a controversial take, but I have Travis Kelce in the 2 slot and George Kittle in the number 1 spot. And the reason being for that is I am huge on the 49ers. I think they are one of the top teams in the league again this season. And I think Kittle is an absolute dominant beast for the 49ers offense. And without a really big star running back in place for them, they got a lot of weapons to pass to. And I think Kittle is going to be their main go-to guy this season for Jimmy Garoppolo. And for the Chiefs, there's a lot of weapons. And I know even with a lot of weapons, Kelce got a lot of targets, and he's still going to get a lot of targets and still going to be a top tight end in your league. But I just think George Kittle is going to continue to improve season after season. And I think Kelce has maybe a year or 2 left of doing that. And so I'm just going to take Kittle on this one. This is also a personal preference one. And I'm just going with Kittle. But I'd be happy with either one as your tight end number 1. And I'd look to draft them in the late second if you're in a 10-team league. But try to get him in that 3rd round for Kittle and Kelce. Let us know your list and your thoughts on our top 15 fantasy tight ends. And don't forget to comment on this video, subscribe to the channel, and check out our website, heatchecksports.com, where we provide awesome football, basketball, baseball, sports content on our site on a regular basis. So make sure you go subscribe there.